Today, we're going to take these Target potion bottles and we're going to turn them into these with the help from Andrea from Cooking and Craft Chick, of course. Keep watching for more. The inspiration for this project came from these packs of potions from the Bullseye Playground area in Target. I only recently found out that they not only make these for Halloween, but Christmas, and they do different variations every year. While I love the idea, the labels are a little bit plain to me, so I wanted a more magical spin on them. And the first person that immediately came in mind to help was the Cooking and Craft Chick. These are the most current version of Target potion bottles available, and we collaborated on what we should change the names to. If you want a very simple DIY, you can switch out the labels for what I'm showing you here, but of course, we had to add our own spin, and we created a few extra labels of our own. Keep watching. The first step with any pre-labeled bottle is you want to remove the label. Now, normally I would take a heat gun and try and remove it that way because it loosens the adhesive. That was not the case with these Target potion bottles. These labels were on to stay. So I ended up having to take like a scraper and then remove that very clear sticky adhesive with some goo off on every single one. Now, I did want to show you that on one of the Dollar Tree bottles that we will be using later, the heat gun does the trick. It loosens the adhesive and peels right off. So good for Target for making sure that their labels are going to stay on their products. Once the labels are removed, we can start focusing on the inside of the potions. I'm going to start with our instant presents. The only thing I'm changing about this one is I want it a bit more full because I have these mini presents that were in small packs of like 5 or 6 from the Target dollar spot last year. So it doesn't surprise me that these same presents are now in potion bottles this year. I'm going to take some of them and fill them all the way up to the top so that you can see them over our potion label. Next, let's work on Christmas Lumos. I didn't like the paper filling. I would rather see more of the lights. So not only did I have an extra bottle of this Christmas Lumos because I want to use the bottle itself, but I also bought this pack of lights from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to fill the inside with a mix of both of those. Now you're going to find the side with your least favorite pattern or color combination to hide it with your label. Now you're ready to move on to the next potion, which for me is going to be our everlasting snowballs. I'm taking part of the inside out because I wanted a little bit more variety with mine. I found this pack of, I think, just pom-poms at the Dollar Tree, and I put one of the large ones in there and then began filling in the rest of the small snowballs. I then cut one down to make kind of an extra large, a more medium, and then filling in with those small pom-poms to create our variety of snowball look. Of course, you can just use all of the small pom-poms, but since I had this, I wanted to try and bring that depth and dimension to the inside. And now we're moving on to our Weasley's Not So Nice Coal. This is actually the first potion that I'm going to completely empty the inside because there's just so many better, more high-end looking options on the market for not that much money. My favorite are these 2 black vase fillers from the Christmas section of Michael's. They're actually 70% off right now, and you'll have plenty left over if you find them. But I've even seen black pebbles and sand at the Dollar Tree, so I would just recommend if you see them, use them, and you'll have plenty for future projects. Now for these 4 potions, I didn't adjust the insides at all. I just switched out the labels. The last potion that I made any adjustment to was our Santa's Portkey. And again, I just removed the paper. However, I didn't have more hats to fill this up with, so I just left the 2 at the bottom. And these are kind of a stiffer cardboard, so that's why they are standing up more, which I really appreciated. Now it's time to play with those extra labels that we created. I'm going to start with the easiest ones, which are just putting ingredients in the jar and putting the label on. First is holly berries. These small bunches came off of the holly that were from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to put 3 or 4 in a jar, add our label, and then we're going to move on to our flue powder, which is actually just as easy. I got these candles also from the Dollar Tree. Now, of course, you could melt them and add something like green sand, but I'm just going to use it just as it is, add our flu powder label, and then we are moving on to our Christmas memories. You have plenty of options for making memory vials, but I'm going to use the beads that I have used for previous memory vials in my home. That way I can use this container, and you can see a liquid option over on Cooking and Craft Chicks channel. Next up is mistletoe, and this is one of the only potions that has a tag, which means remember everything is going to be seen. I decided to pick up another vase filler from Michael's. Again, I told you I'm a big fan. And at first, I tried to put just a bunch of these mistletoes in, and it didn't work. So instead, I decided to cut the bunch up individually and add the berries as necessary. I ended up using 3 bunches to fill this bottle, but again, make sure you're moving things around to where you like it because it will be seen from all sides. Now let's move on to our self-building snowman. Magic required, of course. First thing we're going to do is add some faux snow, and I just love the sparkle of this one from the Dollar Tree. And then I won't lie, this bottle was completely inspired by these 2 ingredients that I found at Hobby Lobby because they're already made and they're so cute. I just cut off 2 arms from some Dollar Tree foliage that I already had around the house. The other thing that I like about this one is since the bottle is curved, you will get some little creases in the label, but I actually think that just adds to the authenticity. Then wait till you see what we're going to put on the top of this one. Okay, this next one is stupid fun, but it just makes my heart happy. So, when Arthur asks, what's the function of a rubber duck? In this case, it's to make a potion and make me smile. So, I found these little Santa hat toy rubber duck items, and they're not rubber, they're actually resin, but all I'm doing is putting them in this jar with this fantastic label. And I saved one small one because I'm going to use some wax and put that on the top. Yes, it's stupid simple, but it makes me happy and I smile every time I look at it. For our last 2 potion bottles, we're getting into the most complex setup, but they're also the ones that I am most proud of. So let's start with the Yule Ball icicles. First, this bottle, and actually any other bottle besides the Target one, these all came from Dollar Tree, if I haven't mentioned this. But this specific bottle was sent to me by Andrea because I couldn't find this at my store. So the first thing we're going to do is add just a little bit of that faux snow at the bottom, but this was also inspired directly by what I found for the ingredients. And one of them are plastic icicles that you also find at the Dollar Tree. But then my favorite was this beautiful ice garland that I found from a store called At Home. Look how sparkly it is. Shiny, shiny. Yes, I am a niffler at heart. And I love that I don't have to alter these at all for it to get that beautiful color. This is over 18 feet long, and I know I'll be able to use it in my decor, so I just cut as many individual icicles as I needed to fill the lid of my potion bottle. Then I measured one of the Dollar Tree icicles to be my longest, and then unfortunately, my camera died. And did I notice in time? Did I even notice before I finished the potion bottle? No, no, I did not. But I do have some tips on what to consider while you're doing this. And the only thing you're doing is you're taking these icicles and gluing them to the top of the lid. The things that you want to consider are make sure that you're gluing them at an angle that you can get them in and out of the potion bottle. If you put it at too much of an angle, you won't be able to fit all of them in the bottle at once. The other thing that I noticed is I love the length and the look of the Dollar Tree icicle, but it is actually flat. So on certain areas of the jar, it doesn't look as nice, which is why I tried to fill in with more of those tinier icicles. And really, truly, all I did was hot glue them on. So once you choose the pattern, your hot glue is your best friend, and you hold the icicles up until they are ready to stand on their own. Now you have your own hanging Yule Ball icicles, and I love these. I'm very proud. Now let's tackle our ever falling snow. I really wanted it to look like the snow was actually falling, not just sitting at the bottom of the jar. So I am taking Andrea's technique of using hair gel and filling it in the bottle first. This clear bottle also came from Dollar Tree, and here we see our first trouble in crafting paradise. I was going to tell you, make sure that the bottle is washed out, but now after seeing this footage, do you see it? See it right here? There's some black crap in this hair gel, and I don't know what this is, But so now I feel so vindicated. Instead of washing out your jar, also make sure you look at any of the hair gel that you're filling your bottle with, because I had to completely empty it out. And here's to round two so that our hair gel actually looks clear. If you get this right the first time, it's actually really quick, but luckily hair gel washes out really easily as well. But now your gel is ready for the items. I'm going to take these various size snowflakes and I will place them strategically in the jar until it looks pretty enough to display. I had considered doing those water beads that are really popular right now, but over time water gets gross and I have no idea how long those beads actually last, since I think they're just meant for really more of events. So this hair gel, it does have a lot of bubbles, but it will provide longevity for this potion. If anyone tries it with water beads, do let me know how it turns out. Now that the insides of the bottle are complete, we're going to move on to the necks of the bottles. And I wanted to make this a little bit more kitschy, holiday, and fun with these Dollar Tree trims. I also picked up the twine from Dollar Tree, but this is going to be different because Andrea has a wrapping method that's not going to work with this thick trim. As you can also see, the ends of this fray. So the only way to attach these types of trims will be to glue it to the back of the bottle. Make sure you have some type of silicone product ready because you cannot touch this with your bare fingers, and then you can create packaging to your heart's delight. I chose a thinner trim for the top of the present ones because I wanted those presents to be seen. And I'm starting to adhere the trim by using glue directly on the glass, but then I always make sure to have the trim overlap a little bit and cover that ending edge with hot glue. I do not want this fraying out. Now for the port key bottle, I added this pre-made large red bow that I picked up on clearance from Michael's in this pack. It's actually just a twist tie on the back, and I thought it was perfect since there's not much to look at in the neck of the bottle anyway. And now I am leaving the safety of my hot glue and my trims and my bows, and I am going to try Andrea's wrapping method for the very first time. Now, of course, I have a tendency to make things harder on myself, and I tried it with this tinsel trim instead of twine. I would definitely try the twine, but this is so thin when you glue it, it doesn't look pretty. I learned this when I tried to glue the black twine on the back of my snowman, which you will see later. So, first thing I learned is watch her video, try it, figure out what you did wrong, watch it again, and then correct your mistakes from there. I had to watch her video almost 3 times before I completed this very first one. Now, I'm also assuming this tinsel made it a little more difficult, but on the, I think, fifth try, I did finally get it. The first couple tries, I was ending up with this excess loop on the bottom when I thought I was done pulling the tinsel through. Found out that was because I wasn't readjusting the top loop after I had wrapped it in place a couple of times. Then once I fixed that, I ended up pulling the thread all the way through and not being able to fix it. So there's definitely a learning curve to this process. Speaking of the U, the larger you start your U out, the more excess you're going to have at the end, which affects the tail that you have to hide, or at least it did for me. Finally, ta-da! Andrea makes this look so easy, so I was so proud when I was finally able to wrap my first bottle. But seriously, check out her videos. She's the only reason I could even attempt this. When I finally got the tinsel on the lights, I decided to try it again with the rope on the rubber duck. This I only had to do maybe 3 times or 4. Now, this is an example of where I struggled to get both ends behind the wrapping. So since this is a rope, it does fray. I did put a little bit of hot glue on the back of this one because I don't want the spraying out. However, this little wrapping trick is so much prettier than just hot gluing the twine on like I did for my snowman, which it just doesn't look as pretty. So even though hot glue was used, it looks prettier than when I just did it myself, so I'm going to take it. And now we're moving on to the holly berries and the material that I should have started with, which is twine. This material was a bit easier to contain, but I had different problems with this one. One of the first problems I had was I pulled both ends completely through to the bottom, and I'm not sure if there's a way to fix that. Like, I don't know if I should just clip it and try and hide them behind. Instead, I just started over since I've never seen Andrea do that. Another problem that I had was just make sure that you keep your last loop around the bottle before trying to put your end in your U, because as you can see, I'm fighting with that a couple times here. What it really boiled down to is I struggled to hide both ends, both the top of the loop that you started, but then also the end piece that you're trying to pull through. I don't know if there's a tip, or maybe I need scissors that cut closer, but you'll see from here on out that there's at least like a little end poking out, and I don't know if that's normal or not. So I would love to hear from the master herself and see if she can help with that problem. You know, seventh time's the charm. This one I did on the first try. However, you can still see the end poking out there. But here's another comparison between the wrap method and just using the hot glue. So I think it's worth learning. It sure does make it pretty. Now moving on to the tall bottles. They were easy because I went back to hot glue and I just added this iridescent beading around the top. Now, my plan to finish these off was I was going to add some items to the top of these. So, for example, I wanted to add snowflakes to the top of the snow ones. I wanted to add a rubber ducky to the top of the rubber duck. I added a snowman hat to the top of the snowman potion. I had plans, but every single one of these items were supposed to be added while using colored glue as hot wax, like I've seen Andrea do, and I couldn't manage it. I should have stopped after the snowman one didn't turn out like I did, but I'm stubborn and thought I can totally do this. As you can see from my finished product, it doesn't look like Andrea's. My glue was so goopy and just stuck to each other. It wouldn't flow over the sides. It wouldn't make those pretty drips. And I ended up having to use 3 different colors because I was just trying to salvage the product and I didn't have enough of the same color as you can see on this bottle. But I hope you can tell that it started building up really thick and I couldn't get it to mix with each other. In fact, at one point, I was even trying to drag it over the side with a toothpick, which I do not recommend. I have seen Andrea use a heat gun to try and loosen up the glue, and that didn't work for me either. So I got a little gun shy when trying to finish these pieces because I want them to look as pretty as hers does. So as I became panicked about finishing this project, I realized I am probably not the only person who has struggled with this. So why don't I go straight to the person who literally wrote the book on the matter? I reached out to Andrea and asked if she could do a follow-up video on this one. Here's the glue gun that I used, which did actually break during this, so I'm sure that was a contributing factor. And unfortunately, I don't know anything about the colored glue sticks because they were sent to me as a freebie, which is probably why they were sent, right? And once I explained the difficulties that I was having, Andrea agreed that she would do a follow-up video on this so that I can finish my potions later in 2023. So here's how they look right now, and I cannot wait to learn more tips and tricks from Andrea. I think this is going to be a great addition to our holiday collections, and I cannot wait to bring these out year after year. Please let me know which one is your favorite in the comments down below, and have you tried any of her steps and struggled with them? Don't forget to check out her video because I can't wait to see what's coming up. And before you leave, if you are a fan of crafting, sewing, usually with a magical twist, here at Create Craft Costume, we think creating is as close to magic as we're going to get. So please subscribe so you don't miss a single upload. And if you are looking for more Harry Potter related content, don't forget to check out the Yule Ball swap that I participated in for Christmas. I hope to see you there, and we hope that you keep creating your own magic. See you in the next video.